How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah. How's New
As good as
York?
one can be through all of this stuff. I'm upstairs. I got to turn this light on.
Sure. You got to
Give
see
me
those
a little bit
glittery
more light.
glasses.
Huh?
You got to see those glittery glasses.
I'm only wearing these glasses because I got them done right before the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And they were for the Oscars. And then I went to London. And by the time I got back, we were in quarantine. So they're the only ones with my new prescription in them. And I'm writing every day.
How many glasses like this do you have now?
How many sparkly glasses?
Yeah.
Like four, only for like four pair.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You need some more. You and Elton John could have a glasses off.
Me and Elton, yes.
So how's New York? How's quarantine going for you, Billy?
It's pretty good. I'm one of the lucky ones. We rented a house on Long Island, and me and my husband, and we're out here, and I'm working. I'm working every day. I'm waking up at 5 in the morning and writing till 10 and having meetings and working on my sanity and, spending time with my husband and doing all the things that I haven't really had an opportunity to do in the last
Right.
couple of years.
What are you writing?
I'm writing a memoir. I'm writing a companion, sort of, well, maybe not companion, but I'm writing a children's picture book for the same publisher.
Amazing.
From a Black queer boy perspective. I just finished a pilot for a series I'm developing, and I'm writing a musical.
So you were going to be doing this all while you were actually working on Pose
Yeah.
before. Wow.
Yeah.
So when do you write when you're in production?
Well,
You don't.
correct. I mean, you do, but like, it's just so like catch when catch can. And it's like, for me right now, in terms of refilling the well and, just really investigating like what stories I want to tell, what kind of artist I want to be, how to continue to do that. Really just kind of hunkering down and doing the work. It's been wonderful. It's been amazing, actually.
So what's your
For
pilot
that.
about? Oh, what's your pilot about? What are you going to tell
I
me?
ain't telling y'all what my pilot is about.
It's about a queer boy who wears sparkly glasses. But you were just about to start, or you even started production on Pose when everything got closed down, right?
Yeah, we were 8 days in,
Wow.
7 or 8 days into the first episode of season 3.
What could you tell us what's going to happen in season 3 once you get back?
I don't know.
Really?
I have no idea.
When do
They
you
don't
find
tell
out?
us until we get the script, honey.
Yeah.
They don't want to get now. Because they know folks like you going to keep asking, and something might slip.
You're right. How did they tell you that they were going to stop production? Did they call everyone? How did it happen?
No, we were at work.
Yeah.
And they just called a meeting, and they were like, we're shutting down on Friday. This was like Wednesday or Tuesday. They're like, our last day is going to be Friday, and we're going to be for 2 weeks. And then by the end of the evening, it was 3 weeks.
Wow. And now we just don't know.
Yeah.
What's it like? Because I was talking to someone the other day, and they were talking about getting ready for filming and how like you just psych yourself up. You're getting ready to do it, and for something like a production to just be pulled out from under your feet. Do you feel that emotionally?
Well, that's with everybody.
Yeah.
That's with everything and everybody. It's very universal at this point. It's a global reset, for real.
Right.
We're all in similar positions based on this virus. Now, there's a big, huge divide between the have and the have-nots, like there always is. But, it's a lot of folks affected. You
And
know,
have you known people who've had it, who've had COVID-19, who've had
yes,
coronavirus? Yeah.
yes. And I know people who died from it too.
I know. I saw you did a tribute to Mona Foote, who was a
Yeah,
great, great drag queen in New York.
yeah. Nasham Woodson. Yeah, he was a great man.
He was a big Wonder Woman drag queen. Uh, he would like suck up a whole room he'd walk into. Let's talk about quarantine fashion. You did a little challenge for your followers. Tell us about that.
Well, I did the challenge, you know, for other people. I'm not doing it.
Right.
I created it to sort of, or my team and I created it so that we could bring a little joy to the world, hopefully. Yeah, so that's what we did. And,
And
you know, I think it's fun to use stuff from your house. It's very creative.
mm-hmm.
You really see how creative people are.
What's the most creative thing you saw?
Oh God, I've seen too many to even, I can't even remember. I mean, I just go through so many of them. They're just all so great. I love the kids.
Yeah.
I love the little ones.
What does it feel like to hear from queer kids who say thank you?
Um, you know, it feels like validation.
Mm.
It feels like vindication sometimes even.
Yeah.
You know, and I say that from the positive side of things because I'm through to the other side of something that
Right.
didn't exist when I was a kid. You know, so to be able to have lived long enough to see this day and to see this time and to be able to be the human being that I am.
Mm.
And have this platform that I have now and have this, be in this space where, you know, it's a mainstream space that I'm in. You know,
Sure is.
that wasn't possible for a very long time.
And you come from just such a place of joy. Like when people hear Billy Porter, it's a smile. It's always, see, like
Well,
right
that's
there.
good. I try to bring joy. I try to be joyful. I try
What
to be joyful.
what music are you listening to while you're in quarantine?
Um, I'm actually listening to a lot of Stevie Wonder. I'm listening to a lot of gospel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of Whitney Houston, a lot of Donny Hathaway, a lot of
Did you watch
R&B
the
soul.
Did you watch the Clark sisters?
Of course I did.
That was
In
so
real time.
good. That was really
That's
good.
the church I grew up in.
Yeah.
The Church of God in Christ, the Kojic Church. That was the church I grew up in. And it was really amazing to see the specificity of what kind of church,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what kind of doctrine. You know, it wasn't just random black church.
Mm.
Because there's our differences. There are
Right.
huge differences in the type, going from Baptist to Pentecostal to African American, African Methodist Episcopal to, you know, like there's all different versions of church.
Right.
And baby, that was my church. That's where I grew up.
That where you started singing, right?
Uh-huh. The Clark Sisters, I had those first albums. Those
Wow.
were like some of the first albums that I ever was allowed to have because I wasn't even allowed to have anything but gospel music in the house until I was like 12. So
what'd you get when you were 12?
Well, by that time I was doing theater.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really, you know, I was going to the Carnegie Library and checking musical theater albums out.
Right.
I went from gospel to musical theater to then R&B soul and all of that. Because it just wasn't in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew stuff, but it wasn't in my house. It wasn't
Right.
until I was like a teenager where I was buying my own music.
So let's talk about Cinderella, Fairy Godmother.
Yes.
So little Billy's growing up in that little church, and he's thinking, one day, I'm gonna play Cinderella's Fairy Godmother.
And listen, pinch me, because I don't even believe it.
Yeah.
And I already shot it.
So tell me about it. Tell me, it's a genderless Fairy Godmother, is what I've been reading.
Magic is genderless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have all these sort of genders that we've put on things, and it doesn't actually matter.
Right.
It's not about sex. It's not about sexuality. It's not about gender. It's about magic. It's about being somebody's fairy godmother, father, person, whatever you want to call it. That's what it's about.
Right.
So I just happen to be, you know, I'm not genderless. My clothes are non-conforming.
Right. So you're not the non-conforming godmother. You're the genderless.
Yeah, I'm a non-conforming godmother.
What is a non-conforming
or
godmother?
mother.
Godmother. Where?
Mother. With a V.
Mother. Okay, got it. What is that godmother wear? Yeah, tell me about some of the costumes.
You're gonna have to. I only have one.
Just
I
one?
get her ready for the ball. The fairy godmother is in one scene, y'all. Remember, she gets her ready for the ball. That's it.
That's it.
She sends her off.
But
Be done leave by midnight, bitch, or you will turn back into a pumpkin. So that's all I did. It's nice. It's gold, and it's, you know, there are pants, there are skirts, there are heels, there are, you know, cowl necks and wands and things.
Did you get to twirl your wand?
I got to twirl my wand, yes.
And did you get to sing? I'm assuming you sang.
Yeah.
Okay, what'd you sing?
It's a musical.
I know. So what'd you sing?
I can't tell you. Stop it. And now they've had to halt production. So
right.
It was supposed to come out in next February. I doubt it's going to do that.
But you finished your bit in it.
I finished my section, yeah.
What was it like seeing yourself for the first time as the fairy godmother?
It's just mind-blowing. It just takes my breath away. It's like, I mean, I never could have dreamed this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was no context for me to dream this. There was no space for me to dream anything that looked like this. You know, so this is not what I was dreaming about.
So what happened when you got who called you and said, hey, they want you to play the fairy godmother?
My manager called.
And what goes through your mind?
Yes. Yes, I'll take it. Yes, queen, yes. Fairy godmother. I'm playing the Houston part. That's what went through my mind.
Wow.
I'm playing the Whitney Houston part.
Billy Porter is the fairy godmother.
Billy Porter is the fairy godmother.
I mean, I know we're joking around and we're laughing, but that is just, I mean, I think about it as a little queer kid. I never saw anything like that.
Never.
Nothing. I try to explain it to younger people about Pose or about Billy Porter. Like, there was nothing.
No, nothing. Which is why I intentionally set out in my life to fill that gap. And I'm so blessed and humbled and grateful and all of the things,
right?
You know, that I've lived long enough to see this kind of change. It's powerful.
Did you ever think you'd see this kind of change?
No, I didn't. It was a long time.
Yeah.
It's a good 25, 30 years.
At least.
You know, it's like I got used to you know, the game was all about masculinity. From the moment I could comprehend thought, my masculinity was in question.
Right.
I was sent away to a psychologist at 5 years old every Wednesday after school because I was a sissy and I needed to be fixed. So I've been in that game, in that narrative for far too long. And in show business, it just, everything I did, it just reinforced it and reinforced it. You know, I went to drama school in the 80s. There were 3 archetypes for Black men at that time. The patriarch, James Earl Jones type character, the sex symbol, Denzel Washington archetype, and the genius clown. And they were all straight, some of them violently homophobic. So there was no context for me to dream outside of what I had already seen.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I had huge dreams, but they were built on things I had already seen. So I had to butch it up in order to have that kind of success. And I could, and I did. There are videos to prove it. You know, my music videos from 1997 were very good. If you didn't know me, you would have thought I was straight. Like, I did it.
Right.
You know, but when you're an artist and you're presenting yourself, people can smell a rat. You know, you can smell inauthenticity when you're not authentic. You can smell it. You can smell it.
Yeah.
And I just think now I'm having this moment where the success happened because I chose myself. The success happened like this because I finally said, I'm done. And if that means I don't ever do anything again, I'm fine.
Right.
But I'm done doing it like that. That's no use for me. You know, so it was taking myself out of the masculinity narrative and just being. And here we are.
And then you go to Broadway, you put on some red, very big boots, you win your Tony Award.
And my Grammy.
And your Grammy. And you have an Emmy. You are close. You just need the O.
Very close.
But now take a look at Broadway. How devastating is it to think about? The houses are definitely closed until June 7th. How does Broadway recover from all of this?
Like everybody else. I don't know. I mean, when they open it back up, people will then start coming back to the you know. Right. It's like we've been through this before. We've been through something like this before, sometimes worse. Like, it's not impossible. You know, I think the one thing that we have to remember is that this is life. This is what it is. You know, we don't always get what we want. It's not always joy and laughter. You know, sometimes there's some pain. You know, we're in the middle of a global reset because we need to learn something. I hope that happens. You know, Mother Nature is telling us, God, Mother Nature, the universe, whatever it is, everybody has been sat down all around this world. It's not one group of people. It's not one, everybody.
Yep.
Sit your ass down for a second. Think about yourself and think about how you're walking through this earth. Think about empathy. Think about compassion. Think about somebody other than yourself. After, of course, you take care of yourself. Right. One must have some self-care. But I'm just saying, in terms of how we're not taking care of our planet, you know, how this government is not taking care of its people. They are not. Period. They're just not.
Let's talk about that for a second, because on Thursday you're taking part in a LGBTQ fundraiser for Joe Biden.
Yes, I am.
What are you gonna? Are you allowed to tell me what you're gonna be singing, or I can't ask that either?
I'm not singing.
What?
No, I have a single coming out on Friday.
You what?
I have a single coming out on Friday, honey.
So why aren't you singing it on Thursday for Joe Biden?
Because it's coming out on Friday. And there's a rollout for these kinds of things these days. You know, you just can't give it away. Folks are, you know, there are drops in different places. If you go to my Instagram right now, there's a little teaser for what's coming on Thursday.
Friday. So tell me why are you getting involved with the campaign? Why is it important to you? And was Joe Biden your first choice?
No, Joe Biden was not my first choice, but Joe Biden is the choice, and so Joe Biden gets the vote. We have to play the game that we're in. It's not if, it's when we vote for him. I don't care who is the Democratic nominee. I don't care.
Right.
Whatever it is that we need to do, whatever we do, we need to get them out. Them. Not just him, them. They have showed us who they are. And it's time to go. And we're the people that make that happen.
Right.
And this benefit on Thursday is you know, my friend Bruce Cohen put it together, film and television producer Bruce Cohen. And he, you know, it's like, I've really been racking my brain to try to figure out what activism in the modern age looks like. You know, because we used to be in the streets. We used to physically get off our asses and get in the streets.
Right.
That's how we got stuff done. But now there's this social media thing and this internet thing, and people think clicking and having fights on Twitter is activism, and it's not.
Right.
And I don't know what the solution is, because there has to be an intersection. You know, it's like, how do we use this and have it have a similar type of relevance as the sit-ins,
right,
as the marches, as the bus boycott? You know, like, what does that look like in a modern era? We need to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, and I think what's interesting about this time and us being home, and I laugh about it, but it's like all of the mania went from the streets here online. You can't even get, if I do one more Zoom meeting, if I do one more Zoom phone call with 14,000 people on it, I was like, I could be on Zoom all day, every day, and be an alcoholic by the end of it. No. We got to be productive, babies.
So you're not looking,
get out in these streets.
You're not looking for the endorsement deal with Zoom?
I don't know. Listen. Anybody who wants to give me an endorsement deal after this is over, because the bitch needs some money, honey. We all getting our bills. Our bills is piling up.
Let's talk about.
I'm on the good side of things. I tease. I don't want to make light of that, because it's not. It's not this for everybody.
Let's talk about another fun project, Little Shop of Horrors.
Yes.
You're Audrey too. You're a talking, man-eating plant.
How do you have all the information and not the fact that I have a single coming out?
We'll have to talk to your team.
How did you not have that information?
I know.
Maybe we booked this before that was common knowledge. Anyway,
let's
Little
talk.
Shop of Horrors. Yeah. It's been pushed back. Obviously, we were supposed to go in the fall. But yeah, I'm playing Audrey too.
But what a cast: Scarlett Johansson, Taron Egerton, Chris Evans.
Now, is this all verified? Have y'all run that story?
They've been in talks. It's pretty much, I think, a sealed deal, because now you're gonna shut up again.
No, I mean, I know that those are the people, but I'm not supposed to be saying that. So I just want the world to know that I didn't bring them names up.
I did, because those are good names.
Yes, they're good names.
I mean,
And I
Scarlett,
cannot confirm nor deny.
let's say Scarlett Johansson was playing Audrey. Why
Yeah.
is she the perfect Audrey?
Why is she the perfect Audrey?
Yeah.
Well, she's a fantastic actress. And her energy is right. You know,
Right.
sometimes it's like you need that kind of strong but vulnerable. It's like the dichotomy of that.
And then Chris Evans as a nasty dentist.
He'll be hot, which is sort of what it needs to be.
Yes.
You need to
But
understand why she stays in that abusive relationship.
you know what? I forgot until I saw the show again in Pasadena. I forgot it was an abusive relationship. I just
Yeah.
remember Steve Martin being masochistic, but I didn't remember.
No, it's abusive.
Yeah,
It's dark. It's a dark piece.
it is.
You know,
And,
it's a morality tale, children.
and
Morality.
you go from Fairy Godmother to human eating talking plant. Uh-oh. Ah, there you are.
There you go.
You've got range.
Yeah, honey. This ain't my first thing. You know, I've been doing this for years, honey. I've been preparing for years.
Oh, I
I'm
know. I
ready.
know.
Daddy is ready.
Tell me
Daddy's
about
ready for whatever y'all need to throw at me.
Tell us about your new single.
So I did a remake of Buffalo Springfield's For What It's Worth.
Mm-hmm.
Stop and bust that sound. Everybody look what's going down. It's a protest song. It was written in '67, I think, during the Vietnam War and all that stuff, and civil rights movement and all of that stuff. You know, protest music was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to bring that back because I got some shit to say. You know, I'm sick of it. And this is how I do it, through my art. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a community organizer. I'm not a politician. I'm an artist. So through my art is how I communicate. And I hope that this song is a call to action. I hope that it inspires people to get out and vote and make sure that everybody who they know and who they come in contact with gets out and votes.
Right.
Because when Democrats actually come out and vote, we always win. No matter what the gerrymandering is, no matter what the voter suppression is. That's why those things exist, to keep us at home. Because if we actually came out, they would always lose.
Billy,
they got to cheat.
You're amazing. This was so
Thank
much
you.
fun. I want to keep doing this. We could do it on Zoom. We could do it on Zoom one day.
We could do it on Zoom. Are you in LA?
I'm in LA. I'm
And
here.
where do you live?
Right here, Instagram. Right behind LACMA. Right behind LACMA.
Ah, yes.
The museum.
Wait, where's
The museum on Wilshire.
right? When I lived out there in the early 2000s, I was on Ogden.
Right around the corner.
Right below,
yeah.
Right where San Vicente and Fairfax meet.
And Olympic, that whole
Olympic,
cluster. Yeah, I'm right there.
I like that area.
No, it's great.
It's close to everything, but far enough away to not be in the fray.
Yes, and I don't think anybody wants to hear about where I live, so I'm going to let you go.
Listen, we just having a catch up now. They were here for the first 30 minutes. Now it's just you and me.
You're awesome.
It's good to talk to you, baby.
Same here. Stay well.
Thank you. You too.
Send my love to your husband, and hopefully we'll see each other in person sooner than later.
Very soon.